Okay, so we're covering two things today. Is the stim case that is newer to this wipe worth it? And what stims should you guys be running? Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the X.F.L.N. Hideout. My name is Ghost. If you guys have never been here before, I'm very excited you guys are here. Today, we're going to talk about what are the best stims to use in Tarkov, and I promise you, if you are not a stim user, you probably will be after this video. Is the stim case that's new worth it? We're gonna get into all that. Before we do, you can find me live every single day on Twitch. All the links you need are in the description below. I would love to have you guys by. You guys can talk about this stuff live. You can watch raids on loot runs and other stuff and just messing around live. So come by. Lastly, if you guys like the video and it brings you some value, make sure you smash the like button. It does go a long way for the channel. You can always subscribe to the content if you want to see more stuff like this, and it's free. That's the best part. It's free. Okay, so first things first, where do you get this injector case? It looks like this, pretty cool. Very, very excited when they added this to the game. It is 16 slots. So if you guys are familiar with the MBSS backpack, the smaller backpack that you have like kind of in the beginning of wipe, it is that big. It's massive. It holds a lot of stims, 16 to be exact. So you're gonna go to therapist and therapist 3, I believe. Maybe it's 2, it's 3. Okay, and you are going to be able to barter for the med tools, the syringe, and the H2O2. We did the barter recently, and it was a little over 400,000 rubles, which is extremely cheap for being able to house this many stims, having them on you, being able to loot them. Like, say you're gonna go to labs, hit black room, or the loose stims that are in other places in labs. You could almost fill this up in labs and you're guaranteed those stims when you leave. That's insane. You can go to places like Shoreline, and there has been times where we've looted 12, 13 stims on Shoreline, okay? So that is guaranteed in your container. It's crazy. I think it's a little bit strong. I was thinking that if they ever added this, we talked about it in chat before this ever was a thing, we thought it was gonna be 3 or 4 stims, since before each stim took a slot in your container. I was like, oh, they'll probably do like 3 or 4, maybe 3. They came out with 16, okay? So this is the barter. It's worth it. If you don't have it, get one. So in this video, we are going to be basically talking about what I consider to be the best stims. We are not going over every single stim because I think that's kind of redundant and it's a different type of video. This is the video based on you guys asking me all the time, literally. I want to say every day, I don't want to exaggerate, but I'm pretty sure like every day, somebody asks me, what stims do I run? What are the best stims to run? And then what stims do what? And then like what stims cater to different playstyles. Now, I want to be very, very clear. I don't know everything there is to know. I'm going to tell you guys out of my experience. I have thousands of hours in the game and I play a certain way. So these are the best stims for my playstyle. If you play differently, you're going to know based on what I tell you they do. You're going to know right away if you're going to use them or you're not going to use them. And that's all there is to say about it. I know sometimes people are like, well, he said that this is the best stim, but he's actually a dirty liar. We're going to talk about all the comparisons as well. Okay, so let's get right into this. The top 2 that I run, these are the life-saving, nothing else is, if this ETG doesn't save me, nothing else will stims. We put those at the top. I have double Propital second. These are my backup. So if I run out of ibuprofen, which we'll talk about in a second, I think is one of the best stims that you could be running right now. If I run out of ibuprofen, then I will have these as my backup. I also loot a lot of morphine. If you guys play the game and you loot health spawns, you're gonna know that morphine's kind of everywhere. So depending on if you know where they're at, you can find morphine pretty often as well that you can stick in here. So I'm not too stressed about having extra or more than 2 of these. We have SJ6 to get far, and then we have 3BT to go ahead and pair together to get way farther. We have our Zagustin to stop those bleeds and prevent bleeds. We have our M.U.L.E to be able to carry stuff if we absolutely need. We have our XTG just in case we are cultist farming and forget something. I always have it on me, so when we randomly are jumping in there, I'm not getting hit with the knife and dying. And then we have Meldonin for those fights that I really feel like I might not survive, and this will give me a little bit of edge, and we're gonna go over those. Worthy mentions AHF1 and L1, adrenaline, and morphine. This is how I have mine set up for the reasons that I quickly went over, but let's actually break down these stims and why I think they're the best. Morphine is one of the first stims that I use when I'm engaging with somebody quickly. Morphine is very good for being in those situations where I'm crossing an area, maybe I haven't painkillered yet, and then I get shot, and so, let's say somebody shot out my leg. Now my dude is moving like super slow, and I'm just a sitting duck, they're gonna finish me off. But what I could do is I can lay down, I can pop a morphine, which takes 2 seconds. Sometimes it feels like it's even faster, but it's a 2-second use time. And then I can try to hurry up and scurry out of there with a blacked limb, with a broken arm. You know, it's good for being in that moment. I need a painkiller right now. I don't have time to apply Golden Star. I don't have time to eat a pill for my ibuprofen. So it works out really good in those situations. The other situation that's really good is when you are around the map. I don't typically pre-med all over the place. I pre-med anytime I'm going through an open area. That way I don't get stuck and I'm just there dying. And then I also pre-med if I feel like I'm going into a more abrasive area of the map and I'm going to engage with some PvP. Or if I'm just pushing PvP right off the bat. Morphine is good because I could not pre-med, and I can be, you know, lollygagging, looting, moving from place to place in my rotations. And then if I hear somebody, I can right away pop the morphine. I don't have to worry about getting like in a space where it's safe and popping a Golden Star and being there for 10+ seconds. I don't have to worry about people hearing me pop an ibuprofen, which is extremely loud in comparison to hitting the stim. So that's typically morphine. It is a painkiller. Now, when we start to go through the other ones in my case, ETG is the strongest stim in the game, in my opinion. It gives you almost 400 health in 1 minute. Right here, we have health regeneration for 60 seconds at 6.5 for those 60 seconds. And then we have the recovery is 0.5. It gives you metabolism and it gives you immunity. So it's crazy. If you use this, it can out heal 2 heavy bleeds and a light bleed. We've tested it many times, and it is one of the only situations. I just posted a clip recently, actually, where I am like under 100 health, my thorax is red, I'm missing multiple limbs, and ETG and Propital I paired together. It saved my life. I got into a second engagement with my body jacked up, and I still won the fight because the ETG was healing me so quickly. So the ETG is something that you pop when you're like, there is nothing else that I can do to save my life, and this might not even save my life. That's when you pop it. In the middle of a fight, like I am leaking right now, right? You just got hit with Magnum buckshot, you just got hit by a KS-23, and you're like, I'm dead. So you pop that as like a last resort, and a lot of times it will save you. Now, people argue that Propital is better. Propital is not even in the same ballpark as ETG. ETG gives you 400 health in a minute. Propital gives you 300 health in 3 minutes, okay? Which is still a good stim. Still a good stim, okay? We're gonna talk about it, okay? But the ETG is very, very strong, but the ETG is also very expensive, which is why people are a little bit more reluctant to use it. It's about 100K, 130K, 140K. I think right now they're like at 140K, 125K. Still really expensive, okay? But it will save your life. And honestly, in my opinion, 120K is worth it if I feel like it's gonna save my life and I'm gonna be able to get out with my loot and the person I'm fighting's loot. So keep that in mind. Now, the other contender is Propital. Now, a lot of people will compare this to ETG and they will compare Propital to morphine. If I say that I like morphine, the entire chat or comment section will all be like, Propital's better, Propital greater than sign, Propital's way better than morphine, morphine sucks. I get it. I run them for different reasons. Morphine I run if I just need a painkiller. Propital will give me slow healing, okay? This is not in the middle of fight healing. This is to either combat like a M.U.L.E. This is to combat, you might be taking damage in the middle of a fight while healing, so you're healing and using the Propital together, and you need a painkiller like right away. So if I don't have morphine, I will pop a Propital for the painkiller, and then it's a plus that it's giving me a little bit of health, and it will remove pain, remove contusion, so it's a painkiller. Then it's going to give a little bit of metabolism, health, and vitality. Vitality is good because it helps against you getting the likelihood of a bleed and also dying to blacked out limbs. And then it also will regen health for 300 seconds at +1, which is going to give me 300 health in 300 seconds, okay? It's very slow though in comparison to ETG. So different reasons why you would use these. The reason why I don't like running Propital over morphine is because of this right here. Hands tremor for 30 seconds and the tunnel effect for 30 seconds. Now it depends on what you're doing, but if you are in the middle of fighting, the last thing you want is to be third-partied and can't see anything. Okay, it's happened many times, which is why I always prefer morphine in the middle of a fight paired with ETG or adrenaline, because of the fact that Propital will give you that tunnel vision where everything is just super vignetted and you're just like, bro, it's really hard to focus. And sometimes you miss people because your FOV is a lot smaller. Okay, so it just depends, right? It's kind of like when you pop this in the beginning of a factory run, and then when it starts to wear off, you're fighting your like 4th or 5th person about to get that wipe, and you literally don't, because you don't see the guy on your right because you have this massive tunnel effect. Now, some of you in the comments are still going to be like, it's not that big of a deal, just run it. That's the reason though why I would choose morphine over Propital, when I would use Propital, and why I would use an ETG over Propital in those situations. Okay. Now, one thing that you can do is you can actually pair the adrenaline and Propital, which we've also done, because adrenaline is almost everywhere. It's one of the most common stims to loot, like morphine, and it is pretty much a budget ETG. Now, if we look here, this removes contusion. It's a pain effect. Now, it's only for 60 seconds, but we still have the pain effect from the Propital, so we don't have to worry about that. What we do worry about is for 15 seconds, it gives us +4. So now for 15 seconds, we're sitting at +5. An ETG is 6.5. So it's slightly under an ETG. It's giving us almost the same. It's a massive burst though of heals for 15 seconds. It's gonna feel very similar to an ETG, and then it fades off and it tapers with the slow healing of the Propital, keeping the painkiller effect. So being that this is really cheap and found everywhere, you can get this for like 12 to 15K. The Propital sits between like 15 and 30K, depending on how many people are buying up. And then also you can craft up to 7 of them at a time. This is definitely something that some of you can consider when you don't want to spend 140 on an ETG. The other thing that I will mention really quickly about the ETG is the ETG can also be bartered for, which I would recommend every time you remember you do this, is because it's only 4 shampoo and you can get an ETG, and then you can also barter for SJ6 here as well. Just a heads up when we talk about that. Okay, so the next stim we're going to be talking about is SJ6. SJ6 is one of those stims that you take when you want to get somewhere first, when you need to cross a massive amount of distance, or you are trying to somewhat cheese your endurance skill, because this is going to make your bar, your stamina bar, essentially longer. Now, the thing about SJ6 that is the good part is actually the stamina recovery. That is better than the max stamina that we get. We get max stamina, which is nice, but the stamina recovery is essentially, if you can picture it like this, it's lengthening the bar of our stamina. Okay, so you're running like 2 bars of stamina versus a single bar of stamina, and that's how much it slows down. Now, this is going to get you into resort if you're spawning almost anywhere. This is going to get you into interchange. This is going to get you to that spawn if you're far away. If you're like at Big Red in customs and you're trying to get to like dorms, it's going to get you over there very quickly, and it's going to get you over there because you're not having to stop, regain stam, and then run again, and then stop, and then run again. So it's very, very useful. If you want to even get crazier and you want to be there further than even the SJ6 people, now this was started to become a thing and people started to figure it out when last wipe people were Killa farming, and the wipe before when people were Killa farming. Now it's a little bit different because Killa is all over the place and he's a lot harder to farm, but people would SJ6 into the mall. And everybody was SJ6ing though, like literally everybody. So you had to think to yourself, like, what could I do to get ahead of the people who SJ6? I'm glad you asked. We will actually SJ6, which is why they're next to each other, because I run them together, and we will 3BTG. I use this combo to get into resort. I can actually, check this out. I can go from the east side, go into the east side in a single run without stopping. I can go into the east side. I can loot the first 2 floors and get all the way to 310 or 314 while these are still going. It is insane. And when you have max endurance and when you have max strength, it's even crazier, okay? So if you really want to get a 1-up on a certain spot, if you're trying to get to like loot fast, like in the beginning of wipe, if you were to come across these and you want those graphics cards and interchange, this will get you there faster than even the SJ6 boys, okay? If you want to get into resort before everyone's in there holding angles and not letting people in, you will get there before the SJ6 boys. It's very strong, okay? So now what we're looking for here is we're looking for the stamina recovery, because right, that essentially lengthens the bar for our stamina. So this is going to give us essentially 2 stamina bars. This is going to add a 3rd stamina bar if we were to look at it in relativity to the size of the stamina bar and the length of time it takes to diminish a single bar. That's massive. That is what we want. So not only that, but it also gives you attention. So you're going to be looting better, perception, you're going to be hearing better, and strength. You're going to be grabbing that loot and moving. It's going to take longer for that to like overload you. So you're going to be all over the place, dude. This is a crazy combo and you don't understand it until you run it. Now I do have people asking, well, why would you run 3 BTG when it's more expensive than L1? Let's quickly talk about L1 and why I wouldn't run it instead. So L1 actually adds +10 to your endurance. So it does give you a similar effect as SJ6, but it is kind of like the budget version. It does give you a little bit of strength and it does add to your max stamina. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't add to your stamina recovery, which is lengthening essentially your stamina bar. So it's not as good. It does work differently, but it will give you a boosted SJ6 for cheaper. So that is an option. They do different things though. So they're actually not the same stim, and you would run them accordingly, okay? Now, the other one that you can actually pair as well that many people do for my big PvPers, if you're one of those people that you're pushing into resort, you're not looting, and you're wanting to fight right away, you might be better off running SJ6 Meldonin or Meldonin, however you say it. Now, the reason why you might want to run this is because Meldonin will actually help with your stamina recovery, okay? Lengthening the bar. This is going to give you that 2.5 bars for the SJ6. It's going to give you extra strength. But the big one right here, why I said it's for my PvPers, is because it is going to take away -10% on the damage except for the head. So you're going to be able to absorb more damage, keeping you alive longer. You're going to be able to tank thorax shots you wouldn't have been able to tank before. You're going to be able to tank limb shots you wouldn't have been able to take before. You're not going to die to that one-shot tap with the 7M and the 8.5 Magnum to the stomach. So it's really good for pushing PvP right away, and a lot of the big streamers that you see that are the heavy PvPers, they are going to be running this combo. They're going to be running the SJ6 and the Meldonin for that specific reason. So like I said, guys, it really depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to get out of the stims. Once you really get into the stims though, it gets really crazy and really fun. So those are those ones. Now let's talk about the Zagustin or the Zagustin, however you want to say that. I'm actually not sure how to say this one. This one is going to stop all bleeds. This is really good to have on you when you're in a pinch and when you run through your hemostat. Maybe you didn't expect to run through your 3 use of hemostat, but it happens. So this is going to stop all of your bleeds. The other way that you can do this, that I typically use it, is I'll give you an example. I actually was in resort and I got shot by a dude with a shotgun and he wrecked me. He blacked out my legs. I had 2 heavy bleeds and a light bleed and I was hurting and he was continuing to push me. Now, even though I backed up into a room, that split-second decision, I don't have time to heal 2 heavy bleeds and a light bleed. I just don't. That's two from the hemostat, so that's 10 seconds. And then I have from my Grizzly, the small, or from my IFAK. Either way, that's extra seconds. Dude's already pushed me. Dude's already killed me. This is perfect for those situations. It's literally a couple seconds to use and all your bleeds disappear. And also it prevents bleeding for 3 minutes, which is massive, okay? So if you're planning on getting in multiple fights, it also is gonna help your vitality, which is going to help also preventing the percentage of bleeds you might get, but also dying to blacked out limbs. If we go in and we look at the skill of vitality, vitality decreases chance of bleeding, and then it also decreases chance of dying by losing a limb, okay? So getting a blacked out limb and dying because of it. How many of you have died to arm shots and leg shots this wipe? That is going to help that a little bit, okay? So we have the Zagustin for that, and it is extremely strong. It's very, very useful, and it's one of those stims where I always want to make sure I have on me just in case you get into those situations, because they do happen. Now you will have tremor because of it. You will lose some hydration. Most of you at this point in wipe might have max metabolism. If you don't, make sure you have food and drink on you, because a lot of these stims that we're talking about, they do eat away at your food and your drink. So you could be, especially if you get shot in the stomach, you don't want to die because you just killed a 4-man and then all of a sudden your stomach's blacked out and you're popping all these stims and now you're 0-0 on your food and your drink. So just pay attention to that, but this is very, very strong, really good. Now, if you want, you can also use the budget Zagustin, and that is going to be the AHF1. Many of you know you have to collect this for samples, but you have no idea what it does. It literally does the same thing for less time. You are going to stop and prevent bleeding for 60 seconds. And then it eats away at your hydration, and it gives you a tiny bit of health. Now, the reason why I actually think the Zagustin is way better is because, first of all, it stops it for 3 minutes, which is enough time for you to heal and go back into a fight and prevent the bleeds. But it also gives you the skill vitality, which is good in what we just talked about with blacked out limbs. So I prefer the Zagustin. It is more expensive. Typically runs like, actually, let's see what price it is right now. 25K. It's not terrible. And then let's see how much the AH is. 20K. So for 5 extra K, I think the Zagustin is a much better stim, but you can run this if you want, and you can run it if you loot it. Like, let's say you're in Lighthouse and you loot a couple of them and you just want to use them. Totally could do that as well. Now, the other one we're going to talk about is the M.U.L.E. This is the most essential stim in the beginning before you get max strength, because this is what is going to be, honestly, the make or break for you getting out with loot. Sometimes you're so heavy in the beginning of wipe, or as an early player, low level player, you just won't get out. You literally have to drop valuable stuff because you are too heavy and you're just inching. It'll take you 19 minutes just to get from dorms to the extract on customs. And sometimes you don't have that amount of time, not only when you're slow, but your reaction for everything is slow. So you're getting shot by a scav, it could kill you. Getting shot by a player, you can't get away, it could kill you. There's many reasons why you don't want to be massively overweight. This will help you with that. It's going to give you 50% your weight limit, okay, for 15 minutes. That's a long time. It gives you a chance to extract and feel like you're almost carrying nothing. Now, very quickly, the downsides to this are it's going to eat up your health regeneration. So slowly over time, you're going to be losing health. And then also you absorb more damage at the cost of your life, versus before the Meldonin, we eat more damage, but we're actually tanking the damage. Here, we're not tanking the damage, okay? It will kill you. So it's easier to get one tap by a scav if you're not paying attention. It's easier to die to some Timmy with like PST ammo when you're not paying attention, because you're already at lower health and your health regen is also diminishing as you're walking around. So what you could do, and what I recommend to new players, is to pair this with a Propital, because it is going to combat, it's going to give you the slow health. For the health leaving, you're going to be getting health at the same time. Now, it's not going to combat it for the length of time of 15 minutes. So you're going to have to pay attention. If you're taking forever to extract, make sure that you're healing as you're walking, as you're running. And you're also making sure that you're not out in the open, because if you're healing out in the open, you're most likely going to die to somebody seeing you and you not being able to get out in the open in time, especially with taking more damage. Okay, so the other thing is the XTG. XTG, this completely depends on if you like to hunt cultists. If you like to hunt cultists, I suggest you keep one as kind of like a backup. Something might happen. Now, you can run like Augmentin or something for way cheaper, but if you forget, or if you have it as a backup, if your friend forgot, I always keep it. It's very quick and it'll keep you from dying to cultists. That's pretty much all it does. So I always keep one of those on me. And then we already talked about the Meldonin. This is basically the what I call the Chad stim, and this is going to be the stim where you are pushing PvP and you want to live. You're pushing raiders, you're pushing I don't know, bosses, and you want to give yourself just a little bit more chance to survive. You can go ahead and pop one of these, and it does a lot for you. It gives you strength, it gives you endurance. You're jumping you're jumping higher, jumping faster. You're jumping higher, you're running faster, and you're taking more damage like a tank. So the Chad stim, okay? Lastly, I wanted to show you guys that you can craft these. You can craft a M.U.L.E right here. You can craft the XTG right here. You can craft Morphine right here. SJ6 right here. You can craft SJ1s. SJ1s you actually craft to craft SJ6. Okay, if you want to really save money, you could do the double craft. And then you can craft Propital as well with your used Golden Star. I'll link the Golden Star video for you guys. It's basically how you guys can get free Golden Star. You only have to buy one, and I teach you guys how to recycle Golden Star. That way you can continually get Golden Star for free, okay? It's a different video. And then your ibuprofen. So when I'm using ibuprofen, I leave 1 out of 15 left, and I bring them in here and I craft Propital with them. All right, guys, that's actually gonna wrap up the video. I hope that the video was concise and not all over the place for you guys. I hope that it made sense. I hope that it was thorough, but also to the point. I really wanted to answer that question though. I get the question very often on the stims. Let me know down in the comments, what stims do you guys run? Do you even run stims? Do you want to run stims, but you didn't know about them until this video? What do you keep in your case and why? I would love to discuss different theories. I love hearing the different combinations and what people do with the stims. I love the stims in this game. And overall, I think that the stims bring a lot of value and diversity when it comes to different ways that we play the game. If you guys enjoyed the content and you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free, and we have over 150 videos over there to bring you guys some value, so make sure you can subscribe. You can always hit the bell if you want to be notified when videos go live. Also, I'm live on Twitch every single day except for Sunday in the morning. Grab caffeine. I would love to see you there. I hope you guys are very blessed. I hope you have an amazing day or night depending on where you're at in the world. And we have more videos for you right here. Check them out. I will catch you guys on the next one. Happy raids, my friend.